Fred here, welcome back to Your Obsession channel. In this episode, we will be taking a look at the Sheffield Caddo folding knife with sheath, so stay tuned. It must have been about a year ago that somebody had asked me, as a matter of fact, I think it was several people had asked me to review the Sheffield knives. So when I saw that my local Walmart had a couple, I went ahead and got it. Now, hopefully they weren't talking about the Sheffield UK, because I doubt Walmart would ever get any of those. But I think they were talking about these. So these are put out by a company named Great Neck, and these things are just China made knives, even though the company is in New York and has been around for a very long time. They probably bought the name at some point in time, and they just manufacture stuff in China or just pick stuff that's made already in China and put their name on it. But I went ahead and bought it. It was only $10. It seemed like a pretty substantial box. I don't know, it seemed pretty big, and actually the box is pretty nice, and the picture looks nice. So for $10, could you really go wrong? Well, let's take a close look and see if you can. Like I said, the box is pretty nice, pretty substantial. It's not a flimsy box. You can see there's a caution here that this is sharp, so you could cut yourself, and don't swallow the blade, and keep away from children, things like that. Like I said, the company's in New York, but this is made in China. There's their website if you're interested. And here is the model number, which is 8106. And I think the only place that sells this is Walmart, and that's where I got it, again for $10. So we'll go ahead and see what we get inside. Also, the specifications are all out on the box, but we'll cover that here with this review. First, as you can see, it comes with a sheath, nothing extraordinary, just single stitch all around, ballistic nylon, and you can put this on your belt loop either way. Just your cheap Chinese sheath, what you usually get with cheap Gerbers, similar in quality and fashion. Velcro, I despise Velcro because of that. You may ask why. Well, let's say you're trying to be quiet. Let's say it's you're in a stealthy combat, mode here, and you're like, okay, I gotta get my knife out. Okay, that's why. I'd rather have a button. That's just me, though. So here's the knife. You can see that this is something that you would either just throw in your pocket. There is no clip or keep in the sheath. And that's really it. You can see there's not much going on the outside as far as screws. You can't disassemble this. You do have some nice wood inlays. The quality here, as far as the fit and finish of the inlay, is actually pretty good for a $10 knife. There's no blatant gaps or anything like that in there. You also get a lanyard hole there. You could probably squeeze some 550 cord in there. This is a lock back, as you can see right there, and you don't have any kind of thumb studs. You just have a nail nick. So that's about everything I could show you on the outside. The weight is 5 ounces, and the length of this handle, I'm sorry about my phone, the length of this handle is 4.5 inches. Let's go ahead and deploy the blade. The blade is 3¼ inches, stainless steel blade. It does not say what type of steel. So when they don't tell you the type of steel, usually it is the cheapest, crappiest steel available. So because they got nothing to brag about, and they just seem to want to hide what it is. So my guess is it's some sort of low quality 420 type steel, or maybe a 3CR 13 MOV type of Chinese steel or something like that. Not that that's terrible steel. It's just a little softer, so you'll have to sharpen it. And really, that's it. Most steels, even the bottom of line steel, have fairly decent corrosion resistance, and as long as you keep a light coat of oil on it, it's fine. but it's just not going to stay sharp. But again, if you're, it's probably, my guess is a HRC of around 55, so it'll lose its sharpness, but if you carry a cheap sharpener with you, you could sharpen it up really quick because it is softer. With that said, obviously this is a drop point. You do have a nice flat area here, so if you have a clamp-on type of sharpener, you can clamp it on there with no problem. And really, that's all we got here. So let's go ahead and do some tests and see how this stacks up. Before we start the test, I'd just like to show you some close details of this knife. And you can see it does have sort of a satin finish. And you can see it came with a lot of little minor imperfections and scratches right there. See, and as you take a closer look, you can see the fit and finish isn't, anything other than a $10 knife when you really look close at this. As you can see, the metal right there, doesn't look too good, does it? You can see inside pretty good. I also noticed a couple of small imperfections up here, I think on the other side of this blade, right? Come on. There we go. You can see the corner on the top here. Not quite square all the way down. Okay, so let's go ahead and check for some side-to-side play. There's a little bit, as a matter of fact. I'm going to bring this up to the microphone. So there is a little bit of side-to-side play, and because you don't have a external pivot screw of any sort, there's no way to adjust this out other than maybe, I don't know, slamming this with a sledgehammer to maybe try to tighten it. I don't know. And then you're not going to have a pretty looking knife anymore. Up and down play, I don't feel any, so just some side-to-side. Let's check for retention. Again, this is a lock back, so you can see it's held in there pretty good. Not going to come out. I'm happy with that. But another thing is, when deploying this, it feels really, really gritty. I'm going to bring it up to the mic again. It sounds terrible too, don't it? It's I don't know if there's enough oil in the world to make this feel better. So really bad. It's really acting like a $5 knife at this point. But well, I think it's locking up okay. It feels like it's locked up okay. I'm not going to do any kind of crazy spine test. So let's go ahead and grab a piece of paper and see if this thing can cut paper. Okay, it's a little rough there, but it's sharp enough. So it passes the paper cut test. It's not obscenely dull or anything like that, but it's not the sharpest either. It's adequate. Let's see, we'll do the nail test. It's not really grabbing my nail very well, so it's adequate. It's fair as far as sharpness. Next thing I do is blade centering, and there it's good. Now I noticed that because of the play, I could actually make this look bad because I could push it over and it'll stay there all the way over on one side. It could stay there all the way on the other because it has so much side-to-side play. See, it looks bad there, but I could like say, there, look, it's centered perfect. Whatever you want to call that, whatever. So, last test. Let's break out the piece of wood. And I'm going to carefully, very carefully, just sort of stab into this wood. And you know what? I'm going to take the autofocus off now that I'm done showing details, so I don't make everybody sick with out-of-focus pictures. And let's go ahead and do some stabbing. And you can see that's in there really good. And make sure that the blade doesn't have any heat treatment problems here. This is soft pine. I'm not doing anything crazy here. I'm not using a crazy amount of force, but it's in there enough where the tip would break if there were a problem. Let's take a close look. I lied. I do need the autofocus. There we go. And we'll go ahead and take a close look at the tip and see if that came out unscathed. And it did. One last test real quick, ergonomics. If you hold this knife really tight, it sort of bites you in your index finger right here. It's not that anything is really very sharp, it's just that the cutout where the knife goes in between the scales, in there it's sharp. So when you hold it tight, your skin gets in there and it gets bit by the sharp edge in here. It's really, I hope you understand what I'm saying. If you don't hold it tight, that's not a problem. Reverse grip actually is quite comfortable because of the shape of the handle there. So it's actually more comfortable for me in reverse grip. So, alright, so do I recommend this? I don't think so. I mean, it is a $10 knife, so I absolutely am taking that into consideration, but I think for $10 you could probably do a lot better. You could probably find an inexpensive Gerber that would be much more trustworthy and better made than this. You know, one of them Appalachian Trail knives or something like that. Absolutely, probably a better deal. I'm going to do a spine test off camera here, holding it safely. Alright, so it's not going to fold up on you, and it didn't develop any up and down play, but that side to side play is terrible, and I'm not really going to recommend it unless it's all you have is $10. You absolutely have to have a knife and there's no other options. Then get it by all means. It's you know, you could throw it in if you need a cheap knife for a truck or car, or your for fishing or something. I don't know, something like that, but I don't really recommend. All right, well, thank you very much for joining me here at the Gear Obsession channel. I really appreciate every friend, viewer, subscriber, and of course you. And I hope you have a great weekend. Take care. Bye.